Vince Ning, thanks for being here. You are the co-founder and CEO of NABIS, slowly, or actually not so slowly, taking over the world of cannabis. I know you're not, but it looks like you're perched somewhere in Miami, but I think you're in New York. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. How's it going, Jay?
It's
I'm
good.
in Brooklyn right now.
I was going to say that the sun always shines on the NABIS empire, which is getting bigger. You guys made an announcement this week about an acquisition. Give us the sort of thumbnail sketch, and then we'll get into more details.
Yeah, it's a really exciting one. It took a while to close out. I think in cannabis, there's a ton of deal action. Yeah, and because of illiquidity in the market, it's really hard to price things, and so it took a lot of work to get this done. But at the end of the day, the vision has always remained the same, which is we're here to build the infrastructure for the industry. And the more we can work, partner, acquire other distributors, we create a more stable foundation for our customers. And so with Humble and Fume, that one was similar. They had a really nice bedrock of brands in their portfolio. And for them, they had, for us and them, we both operate in California. We both had NorCal facilities, SoCal facilities, but redundant infrastructure. And so, at the end of the day, you don't need two plumbing companies, you don't need two electric companies or utility companies in your home. You just need one that just gives you a fair low rate. And at the end of the day, that's why we went and acquired them. And it came with a bit of an investment as well from their capital providers. So felt like it was a good way to bring more value to our customers.
Well, I want to ask because, of course, these things don't happen overnight. So it's not like an announcement from the Oval Office in December made a measurable difference on this, because I imagine the conversations were well on their way. But what specifically does change for a distributor like NABIS once Schedule 3, assuming it happens at some point down the line, is on the table? Like, did that affect the timing of this, or will it affect sort of what you're looking at going forward, knowing that there is some milestone event on the horizon? Or is it much more like, nose to the grindstone, we're going to keep going full steam ahead?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd love to be able to tell you there was a ton of foresight into what
Brilliant.
President Trump does, but I think it was a very much like a stars aligning moment. We obviously had inklings. I do a lot of lobbying work in DC. I get an understanding of what people are feeling. There's definitely a lot of rumors in the rumor mill around rescheduling. And so for this deal, I think it parlayed really nicely with the timing of it. But we always had the expectation that rescheduling would happen. So it was a bet that sort of played out exactly at the right time. I mean, in terms of to answer your question of what would actually change, I think the two big ones are rescheduling actually allows for medical research, which buoys demand for consumers because it also helps destigmatize the plant and consumption of the products. And so, at the end of the day, we just need to be there there's going to be more volume. And as the piping for the industry, we need to grow as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question because you referenced it at sort of the top and sort of the deal that you just announced. California distribution, I mean, first of all, it's a massive state, massive market, but I think the distribution has sort of been described as, fragmented at best, fragile at, because there's been some people that have gone out of business. Like, does this deal in particular, in your sort of position there, signal a consolidation either in California or other places? And like, where do you draw the line between like what is good for you and sort of becoming too centralized of what's happening in California? Like, how do you balance all these things all considered?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think it really is. Are we actually driving value for our customers? And at the end of the day, with Humble and Fume, it was they had a portfolio of about 15 or so brands, a lot of them really good ones. They service them really well, and what they do differently than us is they buy and sell the inventory. And so, on our end, we've never done that. And so parlaying with your first question around what else does rescheduling change, it also removes 280E from the equation. And so for us, we've always fulfilled products like an Amazon fulfillment service by storing and shipping the products, not necessarily purchasing the inventory and shipping it and selling it. And so this marks a difference in our service tier, where we're essentially creating a higher tier service for premium, high quality brands doing stable revenues, where we can essentially buy and sell the inventory without triggering any 280E risk. And so that's sort of the evolution of what we are able to do as a distributor. And it creates a lot of stability for the market because safe banking still doesn't exist. Brands and retailers still need liquidity. And our job is to be that sort of like market maker. We're kind of like a exchange. We are an exchange for brands and retailers on the supply and demand side. And so the faster we can make that exchange, whether it's through providing that settlement on the settlement ability on the capital side, or fulfilling products faster, it just creates more stable price points for products that flow through the supply chain. And so that we felt was bringing a ton more value to our customers.
I want to think about you've been in this industry for some time. The industry has evolved certainly in places like California and other mature or very mature markets. In that case, I don't know. We're going to add another layer of like maturity to markets like California and Colorado, whereas like Illinois is now mature, but is it super mature? Like all those things. But like the pain points that you set out to solve, some of them have been solved by you and your technology platform. But like, what are ones that you're hearing now from operators in California? Is it the settlement? Is it payment? Is it like, what are the things you're hearing now in the most mature markets like California? And is it different from when you started the business?
Yeah, vastly different. When I started this business, I'm a tech guy from the software space, and so entering this industry, knowing that the industry would continue to scale and grow, and there's problems at scale that we need to solve that we are solving today. Back then, people just needed a safe, secure, fast way and cheap way to get products from point A to point B and get their money back from point B back to point A. And so that's what I did in the beginning, was bought a used truck, started delivering products, learned the literal rules of the road, and bring money back without losing a cent. And so, well, okay.
Oh, nice. Your computer likes that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. It's a vote of approval. But yeah, I mean, a lot of that was done in the beginning. That was what brands really needed. Is just a stable way to get distribution in the most literal sense, which was just fulfillment. Right. That was what we sold, is just trust. So that products move out quickly, don't get lost, don't get stolen, and money comes back in the same way. And over time, as brands and retailers have grown, their needs have evolved too, and the industry's needs. We're now solving different types of problems that only exist at scale. And what people are hearing, this is year number, 2018 was probably the first rec operational year. So this is 7-8 years. This is the 8th year in the making now. People are, the market's matured. Now we're just thinking about ways to continue to optimize for margin so that everyone across the supply chain wins. And the best way we've found to do that, and it's always been part of the DNA of our business, is the technology. We've amassed so much data around, we distribute about, close to 30% of the California market now. We've amassed a lot of data, day in and day out, tons of parameters and data points around what's selling the best, to whom, at what price points. We also have a really granular understanding of, what's being paid off and what's not being paid off, how money flows. And so, at the end of the day, everyone wants to make more money, and everyone wants to not just grow top line, but also bottom line and save more money. And so what we are able to do with all that data is not just make any sale happen, because we track the entire life cycle of an order, from fulfillment to money coming back in. It's our order to cash cycle. And, our success is when that number goes up, and that the percentage of success goes up for that. And so the more we can use our data to inform brands and retailers to not just make any sale happen, but the best, the most, the most fitting sales, like the ones that maximize that order to cash cycle, that's the best sale, because that's the most sustainable one at this point. People aren't chasing crazy revenue growth numbers anymore to appease some new venture capitalists coming into the space. People really just need to want to build a sustainable business, and I think that culture has really set into the cannabis industry, and it's helped a lot. So we have a lot of products coming out, analytics. We have POS integrations. We have API and data-driven connections to the brand as well to help inform them on what to produce, how to produce, when to produce, so that and for retailers to determine exactly how much to buy at what times and at what cadence, so that no one's ever overproducing or over purchasing, because that's one way to really just swallow too much and bite off more than you can chew and end up dying. And so, yeah.
And that is, well, first of all, that is data that did not exist early days, right? That's the first thing. But also, even if it did, I'm not sure retailers or brands or distributors early days would have had the foresight to use it, right? It takes a lot of pain to build sort of a well-oiled machine to get to the blocking and tackling you're talking about, right? This cycle of order to cash back. I forget what you just, maybe I just said the right
order
thing.
To cash. Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
But like that cycle is both time horizon and likelihood to actually happen, the cashback. Like it's sort of a combination of those two things that I think you're talking about. Like, how do you bring all these metrics together to say, okay, I'm a retailer, these are the products I need because I know they're going to sell. And as a distributor, as a brand, you say, okay, I know they're going to sell in these specific markets and I'm likely to get paid for them. Like it really is adding intelligence and right sizing all of this to a market that, yes, California is old, or mature, but like it hasn't been around 50 years, right? Like in beverage alcohol, they probably know to the dollar exactly what's going to sell over the course of a calendar year, right? Whereas cannabis, we're just getting to that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the future, and that's when we look at what we want to develop from a platform perspective, we always ask ourselves, like, what is going to make that 10x difference? Not just, I think back in the day, Ford used to talk about how if he listened to his customers, sometimes he would just build a faster horse, but he built a car instead. And so, that's the mentality we take and an approach we take to how we want to shape our platform is, are we actually building the right thing for not just today, but for tomorrow, with user input, obviously, but, how can we leverage our technological capabilities and data and the unique advantages that we have as a scaled out distributor to be able to provide that type of experience for our customers.
Yeah, and now I want to take what you just said and get into your boardrooms and think about sort of there are major things on the horizon, like no doubt rescheduling. I don't think it's going to happen particularly quickly. I would be pleased if it happened this year. I think that would be good for the industry and good for people reading our newsletter and watching our shit. But I want to think about sort of how you plan for that. Like, is it something like, obviously there are you and other people running the business day to day that is like super critical, service your customers, make it better, acquire what's needed, all those things. And then there's the next part, which is like, how do you plan for a future that is both uncertain in terms of a time horizon, but also what unlocks might be available, right? Like if, imagine a scenario where there's cross state lines, right? You can cross state lines. Like, have you guys thought about the logistics and how that changes the platform and what you could offer to customers if you could do that? Or if there's like pacts that Oregon can sign with California, like how do you think about all these things? Or do you just like, is it pie in the sky? You lie in your bed and like, I guess we could do that. Like, how granular are you getting on the details of what is to come?
Yeah, pretty great. I mean, we have a matrix for different policy initiatives that are at city, state, and federal levels, and what probability things might or might not happen. A lot of it's just based on intuition and a lot of lobbying efforts and trying to just get as close to the center of information as possible, so we can make real-time decisions. And again, it's not a perfect science, but we always try to bake in optionality for various outcomes. And when we, if you look at our business at the point in time we're in today, we started in California. It's the largest single cannabis market in the world under one regulatory body. And then we took about, this is the 8th, close to 9th year running the business. We spent the first 6 years honing our craft in California, really growing with our customers, scaling, and getting to a point of stability before we even entered a new market for the first time, despite customers pulling us to try to get to new markets. And so from years 6 to 8, we expanded into Nevada. Now we're in New York. These are brand building capitals of the world, with Las Vegas, New York City. It attracts a lot of tourists. And so what that all points to is we want to work with the best brands, because ultimately they're going to attract the best consumers, and sell into the best stores. And so that ultimately, going back to the order to cash cycle, that's what's going to sell, and make the orders go. And then that will also bring back the cash too, because ultimately that's where consumers are going to pay up for those types of products. And so for us, when we think about interstate commerce or safe banking, now we have a West Coast hub, we have an East Coast hub. Now we're trying to build back, to work backwards, to meet our supply chain back in the middle, and go state by state. It's always like an evolving situation, because states legalize when they want to legalize, not when we plan on it legalizing.
Right. I wish they were on your schedule, not their own.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we've always been very conservative about how we scale. It's always customer centric, and it's always about how to preserve optionality, because legislative timelines are always uncertain. But we do bet on them happening. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this industry to begin with. Yeah. So, I mean, I would say it's a combination of that. More and more these days, we actually see ourselves less as a distributor, more even at a fundamental philosophical level. We see ourselves as just infrastructure for the industry. Cannabis touches so many different facets of society. I think it's why President Trump's administration cares. It touches agriculture, it touches healthcare and public health, it touches criminal justice reform. There's so many ways that the industry can benefit society. Not to mention just businesses, economics, and taxes. And so, for us, like if we're trying to position ourselves for that eventual future growth engine for all those industries, that's just more volume. We need to build up the stable, reliable infrastructure and scalable infrastructure, so that everyone doesn't have to figure out distribution in every single state over and over and over again, and have to deal with these little fine-grained hairs on how to set up a warehouse in this state versus that state, and deal with the local laws. Like, we're this abstraction layer on top of the sort of bare metal regulations of the industry, so that brands and retailers can have just a great experience, a singular experience, shipping, selling, doing what they do best, marketing, and telling the story of their brand.
Making their life easier, addressing their pain points before they even know they have them. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I want to ask you, sort of big picture, zoom out. Let's imagine it's August 2026 or September. Their rescheduling has happened. There's some movement on banking, like whatever it's like. What do you think happens? Like, does all of a sudden capital gets allocated that it wasn't before? Our the payment process, like, what do you think is the most immediate reaction? And I'll say, aside from 280E ideally going away potentially, or definitely, or I don't know, definitely, there's movement to like keep it intact, even if Schedule 3, like that's a different issue. But like, what do you think it'll be noticeably different the day before and the day after?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely going to be a new wave of excitement. I don't know how big this level of excitement is going to be, but it's definitely going to be better than where it's at today.
Which is still better than it was in November.
Yeah, I think everyone starting 2022 has been saying, this is the year it's going to bottom out. And then it just has kept bottoming out.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to see a little rebound. Actually, California saw a little tick up in January and December compared to before, seasonality, just, year over year wise. So, I think maybe we found a bottom. California is always a great little barometer for the rest of the industry, because it's just from a regulation perspective, it's the freest market in this regulated world. It's the freest market that you can find. And so, I think it's a truth seeking market. And so, I think, in terms of what changes overnight, investor sentiment will go up. More people will be searching for more jobs in the industry. I think it's a great industry to be in, just given the fact that it's becoming more and more socially acceptable. Like, it's fun to talk about cannabis and around the dinner table. But on top of that, it's not an industry that's going to be disrupted by AI anytime soon. It's actually an industry where jobs are constantly increasing in number. And so that's going to keep happening. I think people will definitely file their non-280E deductions, which is great. So that's like immediate non-dilutive capital back to people's bottom lines in the order of, like, we did this like back of the envelope math, maybe like 10 to 15% of revenue just goes right back to people's pockets. I think that brands especially, are going to take that extra cash and invest it into marketing, branding, new product development, innovation, because what 280E used to tax you on is the gross profit. So everything, if you look at the P&L line, like everything below the gross profit line, marketing, SG&A, operating costs, you're basically paying post-tax dollars to spend on those items. Right. Now you're actually spending pre-tax dollars. So it feels great spending on that because you can actually deduct it. So I think that's going to boost consumerism too, and destigmatize the industry more, create more lobbying dollars as well to push forth more legislation. So I truly think this rescheduling thing is, I think you can argue maybe we needed Schedule 2 or Schedule 3 or descheduling, but I think it's a watershed moment in and of itself, just to get something going, right. And continue to perpetuate and propagate it forward. I think those are the big things that will change overnight.
Well, certainly we'll be following what you are doing, because you're a good barometer as well of where the industry is going. And we always appreciate your time. Even if we're jealous of the sunshine over your head, even though that's Brooklyn and not Miami. We appreciate your time this morning. And as always, congratulations on the deal. And we'll connect with you as things roll out.
Thanks, Jay. Appreciate the time as well.
Great. Thanks, Vince. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. It also happens to be my birthday tomorrow. Nobody needs to know that.
Birthday.
But thank you. Thank you. We'll be back with This Week in Cannabis Live with our friends from High Spirits Podcast and Cannabis Musings. And our editor-in-chief, Jeremy Burke, will be doing a prediction show for 2026. And I'm going to take everything Vince just said and call it my own for the predictions for this year. So if you watch today, you don't need to watch tomorrow, but tune in tomorrow anyway to see what everybody else says. Vince, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jay. Talk soon.